I thought I was helping a stranger. I had no idea I was stepping into her nightmare. It was supposed to be an ordinary evening. I had just left work, exhausted, my mind still tangled in deadlines and unfinished tasks. The cafe near the corner was my usual stop, nothing special, just a quiet place where nobody asked questions. I ordered my coffee, stepped outside, and that's when everything changed. A hand suddenly grabbed my arm. Not gently. Not politely. Desperately. Please. Pretend to kiss me, she whispered. I turned, startled. She was beautiful, but not in the way that made you stare. It was the kind of beauty you notice slowly, if you had time. But right now, all I noticed was fear. Her fingers were trembling. He's watching, she added quickly. My first instinct? Walk away. Because situations like this don't happen to normal people. And when they do, they usually come with trouble. But then I saw her eyes. And something in them made it impossible to say no. So I did the first thing that came to mind. I smiled. Wrapped an arm around her waist. And said loudly, "Everything okay, my love?" She froze for half a second, then leaned in closer, playing along. "Yeah," she whispered back, barely audible. "Just, don't look behind you." Of course, that made me want to look even more. But I didn't. Instead, I tilted her chin up slightly, like we were about to kiss. From the corner of my eye, I noticed movement. Someone was there. Watching. The air suddenly felt heavier. "Who is he?" I murmured. "My past," she replied. That wasn't comforting. We stayed like that for a few seconds, pretending. But something strange happened. What started as an act began to feel real. Her grip on me softened. Her breathing slowed. And for a moment, it didn't feel like we were pretending anymore. Then she pulled away. "Thank you," she said quickly. "I'm sorry. I didn't know what else to do." I nodded. "You okay now?" She hesitated. Then glanced over my shoulder. "He's gone," she said. Quietly. Relief washed over her face, but it didn't last long. Because fear doesn't disappear that quickly. "What was that about?" I asked. She forced a smile. "Just someone I shouldn't have trusted." "That sounds serious." "It was," she admitted. There was a pause. One of those awkward moments where strangers decide whether to walk away or stay. "I'm Adam," I said finally. She blinked, surprised. "Lena." And just like that, we weren't strangers anymore. We ended up sitting inside the cafe. Not because we planned to. But because neither of us wanted to leave just yet. She kept glancing at the door. I pretended not to notice. "You don't have to stay," she said suddenly. "I know. But you are." I shrugged. Didn't feel right leaving. She looked at me for a moment, like she was trying to understand something. Most people would have walked away. "Yeah," I said. "I almost did." "What stopped you?" I thought about it. Then answered honestly. "You looked like you needed someone." That hit her harder than I expected. She looked down, blinking quickly. "Yeah," she whispered. I did. Hours passed without us realizing. We talked about everything and nothing. Work. Life. Dreams we never followed. It felt easy. Too easy. Like we'd known each other longer than a few hours. But every now and then, her smile would fade. And I knew, whatever she was running from wasn't over. "Is he dangerous?" I asked quietly. She didn't answer right away. Then finally said, "Yes." That one word changed everything. Suddenly, this wasn't just a random encounter anymore. It was something deeper. Something heavier. And I had a feeling. This story wasn't going to end with just one fake kiss. The word dangerous didn't leave my mind. Not when we finished our coffee. Not when we stepped outside. And definitely not when I noticed her instinctively move closer to me again. "You don't have to walk me," Lena said. "I know," I replied. "But I'm going to anyway." She didn't argue. That told me everything. The streets were quieter now. Night had settled in, wrapping everything in shadows and soft yellow lights. For a while, we walked in silence. Then she spoke. "His name is Kareem." I didn't react, but I listened. "We were together for 2 years," she continued. "At first, he was perfect. Caring. Protective. That usually means there's a but coming." She let out a weak laugh. "But he changed. Or maybe he just showed who he really was." I glanced at her. Her voice didn't shake this time. It hardened. "He didn't like me talking to people. Didn't like me working late. Didn't like me having a life outside of him." "Control," I said. "Yeah," she nodded. "At first it felt like love. Then it felt like a cage." We reached her apartment building. Old. Quiet. The kind of place where people mind their own business. She stopped at the entrance. "This is me." I looked around instinctively. Empty street. No sign of anyone watching. But something still felt off. "You sure you're safe?" I asked. She hesitated again. And that hesitation said more than words ever could. "I will be," she said. Not "I am." "I will be." I should have left. That would have been the smart thing. Normal thing. But instead, I said, "I'll wait until you're inside." She looked at me, really looked this time. "Why are you doing this?" I shrugged lightly. "Because earlier, you asked a stranger to pretend to care about you." I stepped a little closer. "I don't think you should have to pretend anymore." That broke something in her. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just quietly. Her eyes filled, but she didn't let the tears fall. "Thank you," she whispered. Then she turned and walked inside. I stood there longer than I needed to. Just to make sure. Just in case. And that's when I saw him. Across the street. Leaning against a car. Watching the building. Kareem. There's a certain kind of look people have when they're not just angry, but obsessed. Possessive. Unstable. And he had it. His eyes shifted. Locked onto me. He didn't move. Didn't speak. Just stared. Like he was memorizing my face. I held his gaze for a second. Then turned and walked away. But something told me. This wasn't over. Not even close. The next morning, I tried to go back to normal. Work. Emails. Meetings. But my mind kept drifting back to Lena. To her voice. To the way she said dangerous. Around noon, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. Almost. "Hello?" Silence. Then. "Stay away from her." My grip tightened. "Who is this?" "You know who it is." "Kareem." I leaned back in my chair. "Or what?" I asked calmly. A pause. Then a quiet, chilling response. "Or you'll regret getting involved." The line went dead. That should have been my signal. Walk away. Block the number. Forget everything. But instead, I did the opposite. That evening, I went back to the cafe. I didn't even know if she'd be there. But somehow, she was. Sitting in the same spot. like she hadn't moved since yesterday. When she saw me, her eyes widened. "You shouldn't be here," she said immediately. "Yeah," I replied. "I heard that already today." Her face went pale. "He called you?" "Yeah." She looked down, guilt washing over her. "I'm sorry. I dragged you into this." "You didn't drag me," I said firmly. I walked in. There was a long silence. Then she asked, "Why?" Not accusing. Not confused. Just searching. I thought about giving a simple answer. Something easy. But instead, I told the truth. "Because when you grabbed my arm yesterday, you were scared." I met her eyes. And nobody should have to face that alone. That was the moment everything changed. Not the fake kiss. Not the danger. Not even Kareem. It was this. Two people. Choosing not to walk away. Lena exhaled slowly. Then said something I didn't expect. "He's not going to stop." I figured. "And if you stay, he'll come after you too." I nodded. I figured that too. She looked at me, frustration and fear mixing together. "Then why are you still here?" I smiled slightly. "Because now, it's not pretend anymore." Her eyes softened. And for the first time, she didn't look afraid. But deep down, we both knew. The real storm hadn't started yet. Love gives you space to breathe. Control suffocates.